This is the question asked in today's skillrack daily challenge. So we are given a list of words as an input, and our task is to take each and every word and merge it with another words and check whether it is a palindrome or not. And if it is a palindrome, then we have to print those particular words. So first let us take this string tiger. So now this tiger must be merged with all the remaining words. So the second word is register. So now we have to merge this register with tiger, and now we should check whether it forms a palindrome or not. So this particular string doesn't form a palindrome, so we are going to ignore it and we are going to take the next string. So the next string available in the input is regit. So we have to take this string regit now and we have to merge it with tiger. So I am removing this register and I am replacing it with regit. Now we should check whether it is a palindrome or not. So now we can see that this particular string is a palindrome. So when we are reading it from first to last and from last to first, it is same. So we have to print this particular string in our output. So in our output also we can see that we are printing this string tiger regit. So now we have to compare the string tiger with the next string. So the next string is egit. So we have to replace this regit with egit, and now again we have to check whether it is a palindrome or not. So again this particular string forms a palindrome. So when we are reading it from first to last and last to first, it is same. So we are printing this particular string also in our output. And then the next string is ALL. So we have to merge it with the string tiger. So tiger ALL. So that will be the new string, and we have to check whether it is a palindrome or not. So this is not a palindrome, so we are not printing it in our output. And the next string is A. So I'm tiger A. So again this is also not a palindrome. And the last string is LA. So now tiger LA. So this is also not a palindrome. So we have now merged this string tiger with all the remaining strings and we were able to form two palindromes. So we have printed those two palindromes in our output. So next we have to take the next string. So the next string is register. So now this register must be merged with all the remaining strings and we have to check whether it forms a palindrome or not. So first we are taking this register and we are going to merge it with the string tiger. So now the new string that will be formed is register tiger. So now we should check whether it is a palindrome or not. So this particular string is not a palindrome, so we are not printing it in our output. So we are going to merge the string register with the next string. So the next string is itself. So we should not merge it with itself. So it is not possible to have register. So we are moving to the third string. So the third string is regit. So the new string that will be formed is register regit. So I will paste the string here. So register regit. So now we have to check whether it is a palindrome or not. So this is not a palindrome. So we are going to compare for the next string. So register egit. So I am removing this regit and I am replacing it with egit. So again this is also not a palindrome. So we are going to take the next string. So the next string is ALL. So register ALL, and this is also not a palindrome. So we are not going to print this string. And then the next string is A. So register A. So this is also not a palindrome. And then last is register LA. So this is also not a palindrome. So using this register, we have combined it with all the strings and we are not able to form even a single palindrome. So we are not printing anything. And next we are going to take the third string. So the third string is regit. So similarly, we have to merge this string with all the remaining string. So the first string is regit tiger, and then regit register, regit egit, regit all. So like this we have to merge, and whenever we are able to form a palindrome, we have to print those particular strings. So in this case we were able to form 6 such palindromes. So we are printing all those palindromes in our output. Suppose if we are not able to find even a single palindrome, then in those cases our output should be -1. So now let us see how to write a C program for this. So first I am creating a function named isPalindrome, and this function will accept a character array named str in its arguments. and this function is expected to return 1 if it is a palindrome, else it should return 0. So here we have to write a logic for checking whether the character array str is a palindrome or not. So here we have to implement our logic. And now in the main function, first I am creating a new character array named strs of size 1001, and in the second dimension I am giving 50. So in this character array strs, we can store up to 1001 words, and each word can have at most up to 50 characters. So that is the capacity of this character array named strs. And I am creating an integer variable named n, and I am setting it to 0. So now we have to accept a list of words as input, and we don't know how many words will be given as input. So I am creating a while loop, and I am putting the scanf statement into the arguments of while loop. So in every iteration of this while loop, we will accept the string and we will store it into the index n, and this scanf statement will return 1 whenever an input is received. If the input is not received, then it will return 0, so the while loop will stop working. So whenever input is received, we will store it at index n, and we will increment the index n, because in the next iteration the next word should be stored in the next index. So now we have to take each and every word and compare it with all the remaining words. So I am creating a nested loop. So here the I loop also iterates from 0 to n, and the j loop also iterates from 0 to n. So the n is the number of words given in the input. And in every iteration of this nested loop, whenever I is not equal to j, we are going to proceed, because if I is equal to j, then it means that both are the same string. So whenever I is not equal to j, we are going to create a new character array named str of size 2000, and then we have to merge the strings present at the index strs of I and strs of j and check whether it is a palindrome or not. So to merge and store them, I am creating this character array str, and we will be merging using the sprintf function. So in the sprintf function, first we have to give the destination. So both the strings must be merged and stored into str. So that is the destination. And within the double quotes, we have to give how they should be merged. So both the things which needs to be merged are of string format. So I am giving %s, and the first source is strs of I, and the second source is strs of j. So now this strs of I and str of j will be merged, and it will be stored into str. So now we have to check whether the str is a palindrome or not. So we have already defined a method, a function named is palindrome. So we are passing this character array str in the arguments, and if it is a palindrome, then it will return 1. So whenever the character array str is a palindrome, then we will print the character array str, and we will print a new line, so that we will be getting our output in the desired format. And here we also need to implement another logic, that is, if you are not able to find even a single palindrome, then we have to print -1. So here we have to create a flag variable, and if we have found a palindrome, then we have to make the flag variable to 1. And finally, after the execution of the nested loop, we have to check whether the value of flag is equal to 0 or 1. If the value of flag is still equal to 0, that is after the execution of nested loop, then we should print -1. So that is how we can print -1 if we are not able to find even a single palindrome. So this is the logic to solve today's daily challenge. Thank you for watching.